Hello, this is Pastor Greg Wiest of Lewis Presbyterian Church, and you're joining me in my weekly devotional, Encouraging Words from the Coast. And today I want to share with you some scripture from Ezekiel 22:30. It says this, the prophet says on behalf of God, I looked for anyone to repair the wall and stand in the gap for me on behalf of the land, so I wouldn't have to destroy it. But I couldn't find anyone. And I thought of that verse particularly today in Memorial Day, I know we typically remember soldiers and people who served in the military who passed on. But as I think of Memorial Day, I also think of Christian leaders who've left us and who served faithfully in God's kingdom. And one of those people that have served so faithfully over the years was a guy named Ravi Zacharias. He recently passed away from cancer. But Ravi Zacharias, if I could characterize him, he was a man who stood in the gap. In other words, he's one of those prophetic voices, one of those speakers of truth on God's behalf, who speaks to a culture that has, in many ways, rebelled against God and left God far behind. And so Ravi was, as the Lord looked down at a place like America, and he says, is there anybody who speaks truth? Is there anyone who stands for me in the face of false teaching, in the face of, in our world, in the face of atheism, agnosticism, Eastern religions, religions that go far from the Lord, or no religion at all? And Ravi Zacharias was one of those guys. And so, as we remember those who've passed on, I remember Ravi Zacharias. He's one of my heroes. I've read most of his books. I've listened to him over and over again on the radio as he's lectured, as he's debated with people who were against Christianity. And so I love Ravi Zacharias, and I want to encourage you to read any of the books that he's written. Of course, he was raised in India and is familiar with Eastern religions, but he's been an evangelist his whole life and an apologist. And he's one of those guys that you can learn so much just by listening to him. And I've learned so much over the years by listening to Ravi and reading his books. As I think of Ravi leaving us, I think, okay, well, who's going to take his place? Who's going to stand in the gap? Which Christian leaders are going to rise up and speak truth and be a prophetic voice in this world that we live in? And I look around and I'm not sure that I see too many people that are ready to stand up. We've lost a lot of Christian leaders over the last 10 years, people who stood in the gap, guys like Billy Graham has left us, and many have retired who are no longer active in standing in the gap. So, as we remember those great voices that have gone before us, we need to look ahead and say, okay, who is God going to raise up next to speak truth, to stand in the gap? I'm praying for some young people who will come up and be the next apologist, to be the next evangelist, to be the next great pastors. And I look at my generation, and there's people in my generation that need to step up and speak out for God and be his voice. So as we go past Memorial Day, I hope that you'll take a look at Ravi Zacharias, maybe read one of his books or listen to one of his recordings online and think about what a man of God he was, and pray about who God might raise up next. Thanks for joining me. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Hey, we're looking forward to having communion at Lewis Presbyterian Church online on the first Sunday of June, and we're also looking to have live worship on June 21st. So thanks for joining us, and I hope to see you on Sunday, digitally, of course. Thanks for joining me.